It's Randy Orton. Oh.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
Hey guys, what's up? Here, and today I'm going to be doing my 6th episode of WWE Missed Opportunities, and today we're going to be looking at someone from a more recent period of WWE, and that is Drew McIntyre. Now, I was kind of thinking about who to do next, and I had quite a few suggestions in the comment section, and a lot of them I thought were really good, and I will do those because there are a lot of good ones that people have suggested. But when I just thought of ones myself, Drew McIntyre really came to mind, for me at least. And yeah, I think I really like Drew McIntyre. I think the guy was really talented. Like, I think he had the look, he had the in-ring ability, in my opinion, and everything about him I just thought was really good. Like, I thought he was, there was nothing really wrong. He was one of those guys you could really just see as the main event. Like, when he came, when I first saw Drew McIntyre, I looked at this guy, I was like, this guy could, be a future world champion. And, they had the whole thing of him being, the chosen one. So you'd think that this guy was destined to be a world champion. And you know what? It looked that way for quite a bit, because he came in 2009, I believe. And, he developed quite a nice little streak there. And he captured the Intercontinental Championship off John Morrison at TLC. And he was Intercontinental Champion. And then he ended up being in the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 26. And I honestly think that he should have won the Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania 26. I mean, it's up for debate, but I definitely don't think Jack Swagger should have won that briefcase. He was not ready. I was never really a big Jack Swagger fan. I just thought it's an idiotic decision to put the belt on him. But that's a different point. I really think, they could have given McIntyre the briefcase. He could have held it for a while, been built up correctly, And and going into this ladder match, I think McIntyre had only lost a few times. I think one of them was to Kane, so it wasn't as if he'd been beaten by jobbers or whatever. But yeah, I mean, McIntyre started to kind of fade out in 2010. He was just stayed in that in the mid card, and then in 2011 he did. I then thought maybe he was going to have a revival, because they put him in the Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship in 2011. And you know what? It was a really good match, and I think Drew did his part in that match really well. So it looked as if maybe they were going to put him in the main event. But I think what really hurt Drew McIntyre was in the 2011 draft, he got drafted to Raw, and he just sort of got lost in the shuffle, and he never really did anything for a while. And then they did the thing where he came back to SmackDown with Teddy Long, and then he kept losing all these matches, and it was really frustrating. Like, he was losing to like Ezekiel Jackson and the Great Khali and everything, and he was booked just shitly. And then they did the whole thing where if he lost the match, he was fired, and he lost, he was fired. But then John Laurinaitis brought him back, and the first match that he'd won in a while was against Hornswoggle, and it was just horrible. It made Drew McIntyre seem just completely weak and incapable of beating anyone credible. And then obviously he didn't really do anything, and I think they were actually going to angle him as a babyface, because there's a match on Superstars where he goes up against Jinder Mahal, and I think that was a test run for him as a babyface, and I think they were probably going to go through with it. But then they came up with the idea of, well, Heath Slater, they need to expand his kind of one-man band gimmick, so they made 3MB, and that was the death of Drew McIntyre. And Jinder Mahal, they just were, after being that 3MB faction, they just looked like jobbers and just a bunch of jabronis, as The Rock would say. But yeah, that was really the death, I would say. There was no coming back from that, because McIntyre's credibility was just an all-time low. Getting beaten up by the Matadors and El Torito, just horrible stuff, really. And it was a real shame, because I didn't care much for Jinder Mahal or Heath Slater, but I hated that 3MB faction solely just because McIntyre was just, in that faction. Because I saw the potential there, and clearly WWE must have done, because they did the whole Vince McMahon chosen one gimmick, but again, it just never really went anywhere. And I think they really missed the boat with him, and he could have been one of those guys to capitalise, on a Money in the Bank cash in, and could have had a decent IC title run. But he ended up losing it to Kofi Kingston, I believe. I believe he lost it to Kofi, because I think he lost it to Kofi because they did the whole thing where, he got I think I even remember him having a feud with Teddy Long as well, which was fine, I guess, but it was not. Again, I think one of the reasons why I really liked, again, I think I've said this before, but the reason why I like Drew McIntyre so much is just I seem to really like everything about him. Like that's kind of what for me makes me really like a wrestler, if they connect with me in all different ways. So like, for example, I really dug his kind of in-ring style. I dug his look. I dug his kind of ability in the ring and everything. And he had a really awesome theme song. It was in my opinion, it's probably the most underrated wrestling theme of all time. Like, it's such a good song. It's a good just song in general, and it's a really good wrestling theme as well. And his kind of entrance was awesome in the sense of like, it had the Titantron showing, and it was like, the build up and everything. And I really liked that. And I thought this guy's got, that was kind of what gave the guy potential, because he had the awesome, everything about him was awesome. His look in the ring, he was good on the mic, in my opinion at least. Great entrance and entrance theme. Everything for me just seemed to click, but for whatever reason it didn't really work out. And I know there was, this may be wrong. I may have got some of the details wrong, but I remember he was spotted at kind of like a Playboy Mansion party with Taryn Terrell, I believe it was, and they had like a falling out as well. And I think there were like there were charges of him like for domestic abuse or whatever it was, but I think he was cleared for it. But I think maybe that's kind of what put him in the bad books of WWE, and he kind of lost momentum for that. But I genuinely did think that in 2011 that was going to kind of be his revival, and that we would see him kind of get to that main event scene. But unfortunately it wasn't the case, and he just never really recovered. And I think it's a damn shame, because the guy had all the talent in the world, and he could have been one of those kind of foreign wrestlers that really connects. He's one of those, I guess I don't think he would have been as popular, but he could have been the kind of equivalent of a Davey Boy Smith when he comes over back to the UK and stuff. He could have been really loved by the fans, in my opinion, if he'd, even if he was a heel or a face or whatever. But I just think it's a damn shame, and I really think McIntyre could have become something. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this edition of WWE Missed Opportunities. Let me know in the comment sections who you'd like me to do next. I do take all the comments into consideration, so if you have submitted ones before, don't worry, I've considered them, and I probably, to be honest, all the ones that people have suggested, I think I'll probably do. But keep suggesting me new ideas, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe.